Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, why are girls I meet through online dating so flaky? Well, I think most guys that have been doing online dating in the last several years have realized that there's a lot of flakiness, a lot of wacky girls on there. And so this particular email is from a viewer. He usually meets women in person, but he thought, hey, I'll get on the dating apps, get some more prospects. And right away, he noticed that he's just getting a lot of flaky behavior. He'll make a date, like one example that he puts in here. I guess the woman probably lives a distance away. She's not like 10, 15 minutes away. He probably opened up his search area to women that maybe are an hour or two away, thinking, hey, I'll meet the right girl if I spread my search area. So he makes a date with this particular girl and picks out a place to meet up that's like halfway and convenient for both of them. And then before the date, she's basically, yeah, I don't know. If you're not willing to drive all the way here, you're not really worth making the effort for. You're not going to make the effort kind of thing. And he's getting kind of frustrated already, even after a week of being on there. And I've talked about this a bunch, is that, this day, I mean, even 20 years ago when I was doing online dating, back then you got Plenty of Fish, you got Match.com. That was way before Tinder or Bumble or Hinge or any of the current ones that are fairly popular even came along or were invented. And I remember going out with a woman that she was originally of Russian descent, very beautiful. And I remember telling me that as soon as she got on Match.com, she had like a couple hundred messages. And I was the only guy that she met, only guy that she talked to. And she was the one that reached out to me first because I had put together a dating profile like that I referenced in 3% Man, the ultimate online dating profile, where you create a profile where you basically spell out, hey, this is what I'm looking for. If this is you, reach out and maybe we can meet up for a drink. And I like I said, that I was the only guy that she ended up meeting. And what she noticed is because so many of those, I mean, she got like 200 emails or messages within like 24 hours of making her profile live, which was really overwhelming to her. And then as she's going through the messages, she got guys that are pissed off that she hasn't replied quick enough, sending nasty messages to her. And she completely got off the dating app just because of shit like that. Guys getting upset. She was very beautiful, but at the end of the day, she picked me to go out with, and it made things easy. But I was just surprised back then. Again, this is going back 20 years ago. And even then, there were way more dudes on the dating apps than there were women. And even now, you got the same issue, is that most of the people that are on the dating app are guys. And so women just have an all-you-can-eat buffet, and they can pick and choose. And since they have so many choices and so many options, they can't go out with every guy that's willing to go out and date with them or date them. So they got to screen them out. And just the slightest little thing, they go, oh, that's it. He's gone. That guy's gone. That guy's gone. And so from a leverage perspective, you're in a really weak position of leverage. And so if you're going to be on the dating apps, I would recommend that you create a profile like I've laid out, where it creates the conditions where a woman reads through the profile and goes, oh, he's describing me. Let me reach out to this guy. And since she's reaching out to you, she already has high interest, and you're going to get much better results because guys who've done it notice that you send lots of messages, you get very few replies just because, again, you're competing against a sea of other dudes that are much better looking, maybe more charming, better in texting. And again, you might make a date. That's why I did a video in one of the members areas over the weekend where a guy was basically misapplying what's in the book. He's taking strategies for when you meet a woman in person and trying to apply it with online dating, like setting a date a week in advance when he hasn't met the girl, barely talked to her, maybe just texted with her. And when the girl's on the app constantly and she just gets so much attention from guys, they don't know you. It's not like you met at a barbecue or through work or where there's social pressure to basically hold people accountable. So in other words, if you go over to a friend's house over the weekend, like especially we're NFL playoffs this time of the year, and you're like, hey, we're having a watch party for the playoffs. Come on by. We're gonna have a bunch of people over. Some of my fraternity brothers are gonna be there with their wives and girlfriends. My wife girlfriend's gonna be there, and she's inviting some of the cute girls from work. I think you might like a few of them. So you should definitely come. Then you go over and you hang out and you get introduced. You meet a girl. You click. You spend 3 or 4 hours hanging out, watching football, having cocktails, laughing together. You're going to get her number. And in a case like that, you're going to not only to get her number, but you're going to go pick her up because you know her indirectly through your mutual friends. That gives you social proof. And on top of that, she's not going to jack you around because she's going to hear about it from her coworkers or the friends that introduced you at their party. But when you're doing online dating, you don't know her, she doesn't know you, and it's very easy for a woman just to get the attention of some other guy who's maybe he's available quicker. She goes out on a date with him, hooks up with him, doesn't even remember your name because you're trying to set a date a week in advance and you barely talk to her. So those are not the kinds of things that you can do. But if you are going to set a date, what I typically always did and seems to work best for clients of mine that do this as well is send 3 or 4 texts back and forth, send her your phone number, say, hey, hit me up, give me a call sometime, let's chat. And maybe we meet up for a drink. Or you just send me your number and I'll give you a call and we can chat. And sometimes the women will call you, but more often than not, they'll send you their number and ask you to give them a call. And so you talk for maybe 10, 15 minutes, see if the conversation flows. Do you like talking to her? Is she nice? Does she have something to say? She's not fucking boring you to death on the phone. And if the conversation flows and it goes, well, hey, we should get together for a drink. What's your schedule like? Make a date. And if it's 3 or 4 days in advance, or maybe it's a week just because your schedules don't line up. Again, if you're a busy professional and you got a full life of friends and family, plus you're trying to work out and take care of yourself and keep your hobbies and your interests going, you may have 1 or 2 nights a week that you got available to meet a girl. And with the kind of flaky attitudes that you get with these girls, just because they got so much attention from other guys, to prevent getting stood up and just making a date and then showing up when you haven't even really talked to the girl for that long or met her, is that on the day of the date, say you're supposed to meet at 7, you can send a text around 2 in the afternoon. Hey, running late at work today. Can we push it back to 7:30? Does that work for you? And if she was planning on blowing you off or completely forgot or got caught up in talking to some other dude, she'll say, oh, I forgot about her. Oh, I can't make it. And then you can dip on out and flush the number and move on. Because if a girl was going to blow you off or acts like she forgot about it, or hey, you hadn't texted me in a day or two, it's like, which is absurd. At the end of the day, you're looking for a woman that's like, hell yeah, I'd love to go out with you. You want enthusiasm. And it's just going to be much harder if you're doing the dating apps because, again, there's just so many other guys and their women have all the leverage and have all the choice. And they'll just reject you because maybe they wake up in a different mood that day. They're in a different headspace. They go, you know what, I'm not really crazy about that guy. And they don't think anything about blowing you off. Plus, you're going to have a high incidence of girls on there that don't have friends, or they came from a broken home, or they're messed up. And so they're normal women typically that come from a good family are just not going to be in the dating apps. They go on there and they're like, this is a fucking cesspool. And then they get off and they'd rather meet guys in person. And if they got a good active social life and lots of friends and family in the area, they're just not going to be on the dating apps because they get plenty of attention from their social circle. That's why you're always going to have better results when you meet women in person, especially you younger guys that were raised with iPhones and iPads and tablets and digital devices. Whereas like when older generations, like my generation was growing up, it's like this was before the internet. We played video games, but when we got home from school, we were outside playing football in the street. We were riding our bikes around, jumping ramps, climbing trees, making tree forts, playing chase, having water balloon fights in the neighborhood. We're just riding our bikes, going to the 7-Eleven, getting big glass bottles of Pepsi, and some snacks, maybe playing some video games at the 7-Eleven. And we were just like latchkey kids. And now it's like you don't have to leave the house. You can get DoorDash. Everything can show up. And there's always something online. I mean, the stats are pretty crazy for younger guys. It's like 1 in 3 dudes has, in other words, 30% of guys like 18 to 35 have not even asked a girl out in the last year or gone out on a date. And when you look at how much people are having sex, like from my generation, which was Gen X, up through the millennials and now Gen Z, what you're seeing, it's women are still having about the same amount of sex as they were, back when I was younger. But the guys is like a third of the guys are having no sex at all. And a lot of them just don't have any interest. They're playing video games. They're smoking weed. They're living in mom's basement. There's just so much stuff. Or they're watching porn. Or they're sending their money to OnlyFans girls. Stuff like that. And they're not even trying. They're not even the game. They've just completely checked out. Which is just, I mean, the stats are really crazy. As to, it's just a third of the dudes are just not even... They're not even participating. They're not even trying. So, again, if you got a date set up, and you're worried about her standing you up, which, again, because you're going to see this, is that it's best to push the date back 30 minutes, tell her you're running late, because if she was planning on flaking or blew you off or completely forgot about you, then you don't waste your time going to a restaurant or a wine bar or wherever you plan to meet and get fucking stood up. So you're just going to have a lot more flakes. You're going to have to go through a lot more girls. You're going to have to swipe more. And most of them are not going to go anywhere. But all you really need is one good girl. But you can't spend a lot of time swiping, because what the dating app companies do is, even if the woman's no longer available, they leave her profile on there. Or if she's got her height set to 6 feet and above and you're like 5'8", 5'9", you'll see her profile, but she'll never see yours. And the reason being is that they'd rather have a lot more women on the app, even though they'll never see your profile. And it's like just, a couple months ago, we were doing a live stream, and one of the girls was saying she got, I think it was Hinge. And I was like, how many likes she got? She's like, within 24 hours, she had over 1,000 likes. And when I asked the audience, which is mostly guys in the live stream, was like, how many likes do you guys get over like the course of a month? And they're all saying that I get 3 or 4 likes a month, maybe one a week. And here, one of the girls has literally got 1,000 likes within 24 hours of being on the dating app. So, I mean, that just shows you that the numbers are so far out of whack. And it's like you're pissing in the wind or throwing darts in a blizzard, hoping that you're going to link up with somebody. That's why if you develop your social skills and you're a social person and you get out of your house and you go and you mingle with other like-minded people that like doing the same kinds of things, you'll meet a lot more people that you have more in common with than trying to find somebody on a dating app. And on top of that, the last time I was on a dating app was back when I was living in South Beach around 2017, 2018. What I noticed is that there were a lot of girls on there, especially younger girls, that were strippers and hookers and sex workers. And they're trying to catfish guys because there's so many horny, desperate guys on there. They got more money and common sense. They start chatting with a really beautiful younger woman. And then she says, what she's really looking for is, a guy to invest in her. I want to be a business owner. I'm looking for a man to invest in me. And, and they want like a couple $1,000s for one night a weekend. And if you want to spend more days with them, they want more. They're basically hookers and prostitutes. So you think you're chatting with a girl, and in reality, she's getting to the point where she can exchange numbers with you, and then she'll delete the match. Because once she tells you what she's really looking for, in essence, that she's a hooker, some of those guys are going to get pissed off. And so in order to avoid getting their dating profile reported to the dating app company where they get blocked and banned, they will, as soon as they exchange numbers and start chatting with you off the dating app, they will block your profile in case you're one of those guys gets pissed off about it. They don't have to get their dating profile torpedoed because it's completely gone. And once they block you, you don't see it anymore. So there's that. And so but if you're willing to go on there, like I said, I would do things like that. Again, 3 or 4 texts, give her your number or tell her to send you hers, and you'll call her, spend 10 to 15 minutes talking on the phone. And if you really click and the conversation goes well, then say, hey, we should get together for a drink, and then meet up for a drink. And if you're not a drinker, hey, we should get together for a cup of coffee and maybe an appetizer somewhere and go someplace. And if she's down to meet, she'll be serious about meeting you. Plus, you got other women that go on there, and we've done this in the videos that I've done with the girls over the years. If something didn't go well with a guy that they were talking to, they'll turn their dating app profile on, get a bunch of interest, have no intention of meeting any of those guys, and then hide their profile again, just to soothe their ego a little bit because they got rejected, or a guy they were hoping to date flakes on them or blows them off. So there's that. It's just, there's a lot of garbage on there that you have to weed through, and it's a huge time investment. It can almost be like a second part-time job, just, especially if you're on multiple places and just trying to get through all the women that you swipe through on a weekly basis. It's a lot of work for very little rewards when women literally have a whole buffet and they have all the picks. So why go compete against where the odds are not in your favor versus just meeting women as a side effect because you get out of your house and you go live your life? So let's go through this guy's email and see what he's coming across, because, again, lots of guys, I just see the same thing happening over and over again. And now you got AI coming online, and dudes are going to getting catfish because of that. And I think in probably the next 10 years, people are going to start to gravitate away from the dating apps just because of all the trash that's on there and the fact that it's so slanted against them. Guys that are willing to develop their personalities and their social lives and meet women in person are going to have their pick, because those younger guys never developed their skills, they never waited tables or tended bar, and they're not good in meeting people face to face. They're going to continue to be on the dating apps. So he says, hi, Coach. You've answered a few of my emails, which have been greatly appreciated, and have got great traction on YouTube, and that's clearly from your words of wisdom and truth that you speak. I have a question as to why so many women flake with online dating. Again, like I was talking about, just the numbers. There's just way more dudes than there are women, so they have their choice. So if you're setting a date a week in advance, because that's the only time your schedule meets up, maybe there's another guy that's available sooner or whatever, where his matches hers. He's better looking than you. She's going to go out with him and hook up with him. And then she won't feel any remorse about just completely blowing you off or standing you up. She don't know you and she don't care. I'm a face-to-face type of guy who would rather approach a woman in person with better results. But for the past week, I've been online dating, and it's been no problem bagging a date. But when they come up with some BS excuse such as, I really don't know, Bob, whether to meet you or not, as you set the tone for meeting halfway, and that proves to me you don't want to place in that much effort from the get-go, which I'm unsure about. So in other words, unless he's willing to drive all the way to her and she doesn't have to do anything, she's just like, I'm not going to meet you halfway. Flexible, easygoing, easy to get along with. Is she nice to you? No. So you're going to have to go through a lot more rejections and a lot more nonsense like that. He thought he had a date. And so he says, I replied, no problem. I didn't even think anything like that. I just thought it would be convenient for both of us to meet halfway. And then he goes on, I won't jump through hoops for any girl, as I did that years ago, and what you see is what you get with me. I do not want a pen pal or flaky behavior, and I'm sure you have plenty of other men who will jump through hoops for you and walk on eggshells, but that's not me, darling. I was looking forward to spending some time with you and to get to know you in person, but here we are. He says, I've never had this much flaky behavior online, and I don't have the emotional or mental energy to text them all the time, as I am busy and would rather meet in person. So if they don't bag a date, I just don't want the hassle giving them more free attention online, which is what they want, it seems. I have the opinion of, let's meet up and catch a vibe face-to-face, or just don't waste my time. Well, like I said, she was flaking on you, so you did the right thing by blowing her off. I wouldn't have gone on that long diatribe. I would have just said, I want to see mutual effort. I want to see you willing to make the effort. I'm not going to put 100% of the effort and you do nothing. So if you're not willing to meet me halfway, then I'm going to pass, and I wish you all the best. Hit me up if you change your mind. That's probably what I would have said. Any feedback or advice to stop flaky behavior and bailing on dates? It's like, well, dude, that's par for the course. I hear from every single guy that I talk to that's doing online dating. They just have to go through a lot of garbage. And if you're patient and you're willing to do it and you got the time, then that's fine. He says, I take it as low interest, as majority of women have the pick of men in their DMs, so I don't want to add to that unless I see them in person and take things from there. Again, that's why it's better and it's less frustration, and you're going to have better results, and you're going to spend less time if you create a dating profile that has the same philosophy as the ultimate online dating profile, which I wrote many, many years ago. And it still applies today because, again, when a woman reads the profile and she sees the things that you're looking for, she'll reach out to you. And if she reaches out to you, she already likes you, she chose you, and she'll be much more flexible and easier going, easy to get along with because, again, she likes you and she picked you. And that's why she reached out. And so when it comes to exchanging phone numbers and getting on the phone, she'll do that. And if you make a date, more than likely she will keep it. But you're going to be talking to way less women, but you won't be talking to all these time wasters that, are just getting their ego stroked and getting lots of attention and validation from random guys because they didn't have a father in their life. So, like I said, you have a much better experience if you do things that I suggest, but, if you want to beat your head against the wall, or any of you guys that are doing online dating, maybe in the comments, you can post some of the things that you've done or that you see. Or maybe you got some funny stories you can drop in there because it's, again, every guy's pretty much having the same experience, unless, of course, you look like Brad Pitt or you're super handsome, then it's like shooting fish in a barrel. But that's not most of us average-looking dudes like myself. So if you got a question or a challenge and you'd like to get my help, go to understandingrelationships.com, click the coaching tab at the top of your screen on any page of my website, and book a coaching session with yours truly. If you haven't already signed up for our exclusive premium members-only content, in the video description of this video, there are links to join on YouTube, or you can join on Spotify or our website, understandingrelationships.com. Just click the plans tab when you get there, and you can do a 7-day free trial to check out what content you get for your money. And if you choose an annual plan, you can get a 25% discount at the end of the 7-day free trial. So go to understandingrelationships.com, click the plans tab, sign up for a 7-day free trial. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.